Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving into a game-changing capability, advanced artifact customization. We are going to learn how to transform Claude from a simple chat interface into a powerful rapid prototyping engine for React-based internal tools and custom dashboards. Let's get started. Let's start by understanding what artifacts actually are. In the past, if you asked an AI to write a React component, you had to copy that code, paste it into your local IDE, install dependencies, and run a local server just to see if it worked. Artifacts fundamentally change this. An artifact is a persistent, editable window that lives right next to your conversation. When you ask Claude to build an internal tool, it doesn't just give you the text, it renders the fully functional React application instantly in this sandboxed environment. Why is this revolutionary? It eliminates the scrolling problem and the copy-paste friction. You are no longer just chatting about code. You are visually interacting with live software as it is being written. Take a look at this flowchart illustrating the artifact architecture. When you submit a user prompt, it hits the Claude AI engine. The engine then splits its output. The text explanations go into the standard chat history, but the code goes directly into the artifact panel, where it is compiled into a live React UI. This creates a tight visual feedback loop. You see the app, spot what needs changing, and immediately prompt Claude to refine it. Now that we know what artifacts are, how do we structure a tool within them? Because artifacts currently render best as single-file React applications, we have to be strategic about our component hierarchy. You want to architect your layout clearly. A basic internal tool usually needs a navigation bar, a sidebar for controls, and a main data grid. When you prompt Claude, do not just ask for a tool. Be explicit, tell it to build a structured layout. The secret weapon here is that Claude natively understands and renders Tailwind CSS and Lucide React icons perfectly inside the artifact window. By explicitly commanding Claude to use Tailwind for styling and Lucide for icons, your prototype instantly goes from looking like a wireframe to looking like a production-ready corporate dashboard. This diagram breaks down the ideal component architecture for an artifact dashboard. At the top is your main app component. It delegates to a header navigation and a layout wrapper. Inside the wrapper, we split into sidebar filters and the main content area. The main content area then houses your KPI cards and data visualizations. Teaching Claude to use this exact nested structure ensures your internal tool is scalable and clean. Creating the initial dashboard is just step 1. Step 2 is mastering, the iterative development method, which we also call the code workshop. A major rookie mistake is getting a 90% perfect dashboard, finding one bug, and prompting, fix the bug. Claude might rewrite the entire file, potentially breaking something else and wasting your token limits. Instead, you must request targeted edits. You converse with Claude and say, in the artifact, update only the revenue chart to use a bar graph instead of a line graph. Leave the rest of the code untouched. Claude will apply a differential edit directly to the living document in the side panel. This precision preserves your working code, drastically speeds up your development time, and keeps your project moving forward without regression. Observe the sequence of the iterative development method here. The user requests a highly specific change, making the sidebar collapsible. Claude analyzes the existing component structure, isolating just that specific UI element. It then pushes a targeted React diff to the artifact. The artifact renders the update seamlessly. Notice the critical note at the bottom. Because we used a targeted diff, the rest of the dashboard state and data remain perfectly preserved. A beautiful dashboard is useless if it doesn't actually do anything. We need state management and interactivity. Internal tools require buttons that click, tabs that switch, and data that filters. To achieve this, we instruct Claude to utilize standard React hooks like useState and useMemo. For example, you might prompt Claude, add a state variable for an active tab, and render different components based on which tab is clicked. But we can go much deeper. You can push Claude to handle complex, multivariable state. Ask it to build a filtering system where a user can filter sales data by date, region, and product category simultaneously. Claude will write the efficient useMemo logic to filter the mock data on the fly, instantly transforming your static mockup into a highly interactive, functional software tool. This state diagram maps out exactly how interactivity works inside the artifact. We start in an idle state. The user selects a filter, like Q3 region. This triggers a React useState update. That state change forces useMemo to recalculate and filter the underlying data array. Finally, the UI re-renders to show the new data and returns to the idle state. Claude builds this entire event loop for you automatically when prompted correctly. To properly build and test an internal tool, it needs data. However, the artifact environment is a secure sandbox. It cannot natively reach out and pull live data from your company's secure database. The solution is mocking data. We must generate realistic, structured placeholder data within the component. The trick here is quality. Do not just ask Claude for some mock data. It will give you perfectly uniform, boring data that doesn't test your UI. Instead, provide Claude with a snippet of your actual JSON schema or CSV headers. Then, give it strict constraints. Say, generate 50 rows of data. Ensure 10% of the statuses are error, leave a few email fields null, and randomize the revenue numbers. This forces Claude to generate messy, realistic data, which allows you to see exactly how your new dashboard will handle edge cases and missing information in the real world. Let's visualize the data mocking pipeline. We start on the left by grabbing our real database schema and providing it to Claude. The Claude data generator takes over, applying our specific edge case rules and randomization logic. The output is a highly realistic JSON mock array. This array is directly injected into the artifact UI state, bringing our charts and tables to life with meaningful information. If you are building multiple internal tools, you want them to look and feel like they belong to the same company. To do this, we combine artifacts with another powerful feature, Claude Projects. Think of a project as a smart, persistent folder. By itself, Claude might generate a blue dashboard today and a green one tomorrow. But if you create a Claude project, you can upload your company's brand guidelines, your data schemas, and your preferred UI component rules directly into the project knowledge base. Once that is set, any conversation you start inside that project will automatically inherit those rules. You can explicitly instruct Claude, for all tools built in this project, strictly use the color palette and typography defined in our uploaded brand guidelines. This guarantees total brand consistency across every internal tool your team prototypes. Here is the architecture of a project-grounded artifact. Inside the Claude project environment, we upload our brand colors, our API schemas, and our component best practices. All of these feed into the project context engine. When the user prompts for a new tool, the engine forces Claude to adhere to those rules. The final result, highlighted in green, is a perfectly brand-compliant artifact dashboard that matches your corporate identity effortlessly. Let's look at a highly practical, real-time use case. Imagine a marketing director who desperately needs a custom ROI tracking dashboard. The dev team says it will take 3 months. Instead, the director opens Claude. First, they paste in the headers of their weekly marketing CSV. Second, they prompt Claude, create a React dashboard using recharts to visualize this campaign data. Include a sidebar for region filtering. Claude instantly generates the living artifact. The director notices the date format is wrong, so they use the iterative method, update the artifact so the date filter uses a sliding range. Claude updates the UI in seconds. Within 15 minutes, the marketing director has bypassed the dev backlog and created a fully functioning, interactive prototype. They can literally screen share this artifact in their afternoon meeting to demonstrate the ROI, or hand the generated React code to the engineers as a flawless, pre-built specification. Follow the journey of our marketing director. They paste their CSV headers and prompt for the base layout. Claude generates the initial artifact. We hit a decision diamond where the user reviews the UI. If it needs a chart, they iterate to add a recharts bar graph. If it needs a filter, they iterate to add a date slider. This loop continues until the UI is perfect. Finally, they exit the loop, ready to export the code or present the tool live to stakeholders. As we conclude, let's lock in the best practices for advanced artifact customization. First, always explicitly name your artifacts, like Marketing ROI V1. This makes it incredibly easy to reference them later in long conversations. Second, target your changes. Never ask for a full rewrite. Ask Claude to update specific functions. Third, if your dashboard gets massive and sluggish, ask Claude to modularize the code into smaller, cleaner subcomponents. Finally, always verify the logic. Claude is brilliant at UI, but you must double-check the math behind the state management. Mastering these artifact workflows allows you to build software at the speed of thought. To truly master these capabilities, accelerate your career, and access premium certification prep including massive Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training courses, and interview guides, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and visit quicktechie.com today. Thank you and happy building! Our final diagram shows your path to success. You learn the core concepts, you practice iterating safely using targeted edits, and you build custom internal tools that wire your team. The final and most important step on your journey, head over and visit quicktechie.com to unlock your full potential.